Something that's often overlooked is how valuable children's books can be in teaching them life lessons like embracing diversity and inclusion. Returning to the show to remind us why that's so essential is author of Meet ClaraBelle Blue, Adiba Nelson. Adiba, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you. So let's talk about your book first and foremost. What inspired you to write it?
So I was inspired by the lack of books that are available for children that have special needs, and my daughter who has special needs. We went to look for a children's book that would have, a little black girl, possibly a wheelchair. Nothing of that nature was on the shelves. And there were books about kids that had special needs, but they were primarily about the disability, not necessarily the child.
Right.
Which I felt was really unfair because my child has a personality and she's full of life, as are millions of children around the world that have special needs, but there was no representation. So here we are.
There you are. And why was it important to resemble your daughter and her ability in this book so carefully?
Well, I feel like in the children's book landscape, when it comes to special needs, we really discount the children behind the special needs. We always highlight the disability and talk about what the diagnosis is, which is important. It's definitely important to understand what your friend at school might have. If someone says, oh, they have autism or cerebral palsy, and you want to understand. But more importantly, I want children to know the person that has the disability, not just the disability. And so it was very important that that be the highlight of the story.
It's a beautiful sentiment. They're a child first and foremost. They're not defined by any ability or disability that they may have.
Absolutely.
And why do you think it's so important to have books like this and teach kids about different backgrounds and different disabilities or abilities?
Well, the world we live in is changing. There are 150 million children worldwide that have some sort of a disability or a special need. That means that at some point or another, the children that you're raising now are going to come into contact with another child that has some sort of a diagnosis.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if your child already knew, hey, that kid's just like me? Might be a little bit different on the outside, but at the end of the day, we're all just kids who want to play. That is why these books are so important, because it helps foster that understanding of we're just the same. Little things are different here and there. They might need a little more help, but kids are kids. You're
building in that awareness from a very young age, and like you say, it's going to have a ripple effect in the rest of their life. And so, of course, we're talking about your book first and foremost. There are other lovely books, too, that sort of highlight this idea also. Can you run through some of them?
Right. So here we have We're Not So Different After All. It's written by Lisette Lent. She's a writer out of Phoenix. It's also based on her daughter, who has a disability, and it talks about how she is very similar to her brother and other children. We're not so different after all. The title is right there. Then we have over here, it's Isabella and her 6-inch voice, which is an adorable story about a little girl who's maybe a little bit louder than the other kids.
Yeah.
But she gets into her personality and who she is. In the back, we have Isaac and his amazing Asperger's superpowers, which is one of my favorites. Asperger's is something that's pretty new, recent in our vocabulary, but it talks about how amazing he is and how things that we might think are a little bit different actually are his superpowers.
Right.
And so he can be fun and have fun and like to play. It's a really great story.
It is. And you've brought a couple more. Be Kind.
I did. Be Kind is because it's something that we definitely want to instill in our children today, especially with the world that we're living in right now. Things can be really scary and tumultuous, but at the end of the day, if our children can remember to be kind to whoever they meet, whatever they look like, we're starting off on the right foot. And then this one is one of my absolute favorites, What Do You Do With an Idea? And the concept is any little idea that you have can possibly change the world. And I think that is fantastic.
Yeah.
You absolutely have the power to change the world, and I think children need to know that, especially in regards to people that are not like them. If you have an idea that could help someone, go for it. See what you can change with it.
Well, I think for any parent having a well-rounded education, you know, from all aspects of life, including language, including different cultures, and of course different abilities or disabilities, I think it's so important that you're highlighting this. And I'm going to let them know how they can get the book. They can actually get a discount if they're watching the show right now. I'm going to let them know what that is. But Adiba, as always, thank you for what you're doing. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Now here's a special offer for today only. Purchase Meet ClaraBelle Blue and receive 20% off when you use the code MorningBlendLOR. Order today by visiting clarabelleblue.com/shop.